Do you notice how some people wait for your reaction? They expect you to break first because breaking hands them control. If you want calm power under pressure, listen like a strategist. You are not born reactive, you are trained to react on command. The training hides in tone, timing, and tiny cues that press buttons. A calm mind sees the cue, then refuses to pay with emotion. Every manipulator builds a private control map inside your habits. The map tracks what makes you rush, defend, explain, and prove yourself. The map deepens when you answer fast without checking the hidden cost. The first secret says, attention is the true currency of power. The one who places the question controls the frame of the answer. The one who holds the silence controls the temperature of the room. They push a phrase that sounds simple, but carries a sharp hook. The hook is a meaning trap, designed to force a quick defense. Once you defend, you accept their frame, and your ground is gone. Reactions are rented out when you value approval more than clarity. Approval seekers over-explain, and over-explanation invites further extraction. Extraction continues until your confidence is hollow, and their control feels normal. Calm does not mean soft. Calm means framed control under rising pressure. Calm begins with noticing the first internal spike of heat. That spike is not truth, that spike is a trained alarm, Machiavelli once said. If you control perception, you control power. Perception begins inside you before it appears on your face. A trained manipulator scouts your breathing, your eyes, and your pauses. The hidden system runs on 3 levers: trigger, frame, and reward. The trigger awakens fear of loss, image, status, or belonging. The frame narrows options until your only relief is compliance. The reward provides small relief, which conditions you to repeat submission. You can break the system by starving it of predictable reactions. Predictable reactions are loops, and loops can be mapped and cut. Map the earliest moment you feel rushed to answer. Map the word that makes you explain what needs no justification. Map the tone that makes you doubt your own steady judgment. The mind respects what the breath repeats. Slow breath communicates internal certainty. Counting is not required, only a steady rhythm like quiet waves. When rhythm settles, the nervous system releases space for intelligent choice. Never debate under forced timing. Forced timing is a hidden leash. Timing pressure converts your knowledge into apology-shaped sentences. Calm timing returns your power to choose precision over performance. Notice the bait of disrespect. The bait invites a theatrical reaction. Theatrical reactions feed the story that you are unstable and weak. Reject the bait by turning to the underlying structure, not the insult. Ask yourself one silent question: what outcome justifies any reaction now? If no outcome is worth it, your best move is stillness. Stillness is not passive. Stillness forces the other side to reveal. When you do not volunteer weakness, the strategy leaks from their words. They repeat the same jab with fresh wrapping. Because the system needs fuel, there is a mistake many intelligent people make under pressure. They start educating the other person during a control attempt. Education under manipulation becomes confession, and confession becomes ammunition. Save your explanations for safe grounds, not for stealth battles. Precision beats persuasion when the frame is hostile and narrow. Use clean boundaries stated with minimal language and firm tone. Short sentences protect clarity, long speeches invite fresh entanglements. Say only what is necessary to close the loop, nothing more. Your calm tone must sound like a verdict, not an invitation. A verdict ends the negotiation over your emotional access. Watch for the sympathy trap. Fake sympathy asks for full disclosure. Full disclosure exposes your internal levers, then the system adjusts pressure. Share selectively. Your calm is a vault that opens by principle only. Principle-anchored disclosure means you share to solve, not to soothe. Solving requires structure. Soothing under pressure requires your cost. The ego trap uses praise as a steering wheel for your choices. Praise placed before a request is not always a gift. It can be an anchor designed to make refusal feel rude. Remember a rule: genuine respect survives a clear and calm refusal. If respect collapses after boundaries, it was never respect at all. Suspense is a tool in your favor when used with awareness. You can hold a measured pause after a loaded statement. The pause sends a message: I do not react on your schedule. That message quietly flips the frame. Their plan confronts empty space. Empty space forces them to reveal intent, or retreat without reward. Train your mind to separate stimulus from decision by a thin gap. In that gap, name the pattern, not the person or the words. Say inside, this is a rush frame, this is a bait frame. Once named, the pattern loses its invisibility and part of its force. You are now choosing, not being moved like a piece on a board. Set criteria for engagement before pressure arrives. Criteria act like rails. For example, engage when the request is clear, useful, and respectful. Disengage when uncertainty is weaponized to extract endless explanations. Re-engage only when clarity returns and costs are mutual and fair. Criteria protect you from the emotional climate of the moment. Remember that calm is not for show, calm is for accuracy. Accuracy increases when you shrink your language and slow your pace. Accuracy demands that you decline questions that smuggle accusations inside. You can ask for a clean question or refuse the dirty frame. Your refusal is not aggression. Your refusal is maintenance of order. A skilled manipulator may switch to confusion after calm boundaries. They will claim you misunderstood to drag you back into explanation. Do not explain meaning that is already clear to an honest mind. Invite them to state their request plainly, without edge or bait. If simplicity cannot appear, the trap is confirmed, and you exit. Build a private practice of emotional austerity, spend feelings with intention. Do not pay in anger when curiosity would serve your long term. Do not pay in urgency when patience would expose the real plan. Do not pay in guilt when integrity already answers the question. Emotional austerity is not coldness. It is disciplined stewardship of energy. Study how your body broadcasts secrets during pressure. The eyes widen early, the shoulders rise, the voice climbs. Train the opposite signals: relaxed gaze, heavy shoulders, grounded voice. These signals inform your mind that danger is not immediate. The mind then frees cognition to analyze patterns rather than defend status. Machiavelli once said, "If you must choose, choose being feared by your weaknesses. Let your weaknesses fear your discipline, not your enemies fear your noise." Real power is quiet, because quiet reveals who tries to steer you. The loudest pressure often comes from the most fragile source. Once you see that, the spell breaks, and urgency loses glamour. The ultimate reveal is simple. Control tries to live inside your explanations. When you stop feeding it, it loses shelter and must face daylight. Daylight is simple criteria, simple language, and simple timing. Your calm is not a performance. Your calm is an audit of influence. Your audit asks, who gains if I react on their schedule today? Now you carry a new compass for psychological storms. Hold attention, hold timing, and hold your frame with quiet hands. Watch how the system shakes when your breath refuses to race. Watch how the bait rots when your silence does not chase. But are you ready to test the one move that exposes every hidden lever? Asterisk, do you know why calmness looks dangerous to certain minds? They see stillness as defiance because silence removes their control. When you stop reacting, their invisible system begins to panic. Control thrives only where emotional prediction succeeds. When your behavior stops matching their forecast, they lose the map. And when the map collapses, their authority turns into confusion. Most pressure tactics follow the same rhythm: provoke, observe, reward. The provocation is bait, the observation measures your resistance. The reward reinforces the moment you surrender to the frame. Machiavelli once said, "Never appear desperate to prove truth, because proof is demanded by those who already chose blindness." Truth defends itself through composure, not through excess speech. You never noticed how false urgency is built into manipulation? They use sudden tone shifts to make calm look suspicious. But urgency without evidence is not a signal. It is a script. The mind trained in calmness does not fight for tone, it waits for pattern. Waiting turns noise into data, and data exposes the repeated triggers. Every repetition reveals the same hidden message: control through chaos. You may feel the pressure to fill silence. That is the real trap. Silence is your negotiation weapon disguised as emptiness. The longer you hold it, the clearer you hear their intent. Many think calm means weakness, but calm is advanced prediction control. A calm mind does not react to the surface, it studies timing. Timing is the real language of influence. Every manipulator speaks it fluently. Notice how timing changes after you stop answering immediately. Their tone stretches, their smile stiffens, their energy scrambles for anchor. The manipulator's greatest fear is losing your emotional schedule. They may suddenly play the guilt card, pretending to be misunderstood. That is not reconciliation, that is emotional reentry. Reentry means they are trying to reattach to your rhythm of reaction. Keep your voice slow, not soft. Slow speech lowers the field intensity. Lower intensity makes false tension visible, like smoke without fire. Now you can study intent instead of defending against noise. Remember this principle. The one who rushes wants to hide the mechanism. The one who slows down is reading the mechanism. Slow is not lazy. Slow is surgical. In psychological influence, fear, and confusion travel faster than logic. That is why manipulators mix truth with speed. Once you slow the frame, half-truths lose their shine. The most dangerous moment comes after you stay calm too long. They might escalate to test if your piece is real. The test is never about reason, it is about emotional leverage. You win by not entering their level of chaos. Chaos is an attention trap wearing the mask of importance. Calm breaks the illusion that urgency equals truth. Machiavelli once whispered, "Whoever controls rhythm controls perception." That rhythm includes silence, pauses, and micro-choices in speech. You are either led by rhythm, or you set it through awareness. The ultimate control lies in invisible discipline, not visible dominance. Discipline of tone, breath, and pause creates invisible armor. Armor is not to fight, armor is to remain unshaken. Watch how calm people reverse the flow without raising voice. Their steadiness forces manipulators into self-exposure. The system begins to eat itself, revealing its need for chaos to survive. Never forget, calmness is not peace until it is tested. Tests reveal whether your silence is emotional fear or conscious choice. Real calm is awareness in motion, not withdrawal in disguise. The question is, can you stay calm when calmness itself becomes the target? Asterisk, do you know why calm people seem untouchable in chaotic rooms? It is not luck, it is trained separation between emotion and trigger. When others lose rhythm, calm minds rewrite the invisible script. Manipulators survive through prediction loops built from your emotional memory. They replay your past reactions like recorded commands. Your silence breaks those recordings, because it erases the expected rhythm. The loop works by repetition, reaction, and reward. You hear a tone that once embarrassed you and your body obeys. The manipulator smiles, not because they won, but because you performed. Machiavelli once said, "A ruler rules minds, not crowds." A manipulator learns this truth in miniature form. They test control not through force, but through your own self-doubt. Self-doubt is the oldest weapon in psychological warfare. It sounds like your voice, but carries someone else's agenda. The more you argue with it, the stronger it becomes. Calmness dismantles self-doubt because it stops feeding it responses. When you refuse to argue with noise, noise loses its music. It turns into static, and static cannot manipulate silence. The system then tries a new strategy, the mirror trap. They accuse you of being what they secretly are. They call you distant, arrogant, or emotionless. Hoping you'll defend? Defense is surrender in disguise, because defense obeys their narrative. You protect yourself best by not joining their storyline. Let false claims hang in silence until they rot under truth. Every manipulative exchange hides a frame competition. Frames are invisible structures that decide what counts as logic. The one whose frame survives the argument wins influence. You do not win by louder logic, you win by refusing weak frames. When someone demands reaction under false terms, decline the premise. Say less, but make every word a test of precision. Calmness allows you to hear what others rush past. Listen for emotional spikes, guilt cues, and urgency implants. They always appear seconds before control attempts. You can build an internal language for identifying these cues. Call them rush tones, bait words, or sympathy hooks. Naming them turns manipulation into data, not danger. The mind that labels clearly observes without reacting. And observation without reaction is the seed of mastery. Because once you see pattern, emotion becomes optional. Remember, attention is your psychological currency. Whoever earns your attention controls your narrative. Spend attention only on clarity, never on performance. Machiavelli once wrote, "Never respond from weakness, respond from distance." Distance is not detachment, it is higher ground for thought. You think better when you stop trying to look right. A manipulator's last defense is emotional confusion. They mix kindness with subtle blame to scramble your compass. One moment they praise you, the next they question your value. That mix creates dependency, because the brain chases unfinished comfort. You wait for resolution, and in waiting, you lose authority. Resolve it yourself. Not through their shifting approval. Your calm becomes dangerous the moment you no longer chase clarity from chaos. They realize your emotions no longer answer their call. And that realization creates fear in those who control through noise. Silence now becomes a mirror that reflects their inner instability. They speak faster, they correct themselves, they ask if you are angry. You are not angry, you are observing a collapse in rhythm. Do not celebrate the fall, study it. Each collapse teaches how the system depends on reaction speed. You learn that every manipulator's strength dies in your delay. Pause before every emotional invitation. Not to ignore, but to measure. Measurement turns storms into lessons and lessons into armor. This is not detachment, this is deliberate calm construction. The calm builder knows storms are not enemies, they are X-rays. Storms reveal every weak wire of control, every false connection. When you stand still, you see the network that others miss, but there is one deeper layer beyond silence, the layer of invisible resistance. That layer cannot be seen or tested directly, only felt through presence. Are you ready to enter that level where calmness becomes command? Asterisk, do you know why true calm feels like control to those who lack it? Because silence without fear exposes the imbalance of every manipulative game. And once you see the imbalance, their entire design starts falling apart. Control needs reaction, not reason. It feeds on emotional return like a machine needing constant current. When you cut the current, their influence flickers and fades. A manipulator's hidden fear is emotional invisibility. They thrive when you explain, justify, and chase their approval. But when you go quiet, they lose their mirror, and their mask slips. Machiavelli once said, "Whoever controls attention, controls the battlefield." The calm mind knows attention is the battlefield itself. Every unnecessary explanation is a surrendered inch of territory. The moment you explain your piece, you invite interrogation. The moment you defend your silence, you give them rhythm again. So the rule is simple: calm does not explain calm. This is where many intelligent minds fail. They try to teach calmness to those who profit from chaos. You cannot reason with someone who needs disorder to exist. Instead, you create invisible resistance through inner observation. You watch every word they use, not for meaning, but for motive. Motive hides in tone, speed, and choice of emotional currency. Notice the shift between kindness and urgency. When praise turns into a request, timing reveals the trap. Genuine care waits, manipulation rushes. Pause longer than comfort allows and observe the discomfort rise. You will see how silence becomes your interrogation tool. People reveal their true shape when they cannot force your reaction. Calmness without observation is shallow. Calmness with observation is surgical. Observation allows you to extract patterns from behavior, not emotions. Pattern is the real language of power, and calmness decodes it fluently. Every manipulator carries a hidden dependency, emotional confirmation. They need you to confirm their power through visible reactions. Without that, their authority dissolves into internal panic. This panic often appears as moral superiority. They start preaching ethics, peace, or emotional intelligence ironically. It is a disguise to recover the upper ground. They lost to your stillness. You must see this move for what it is: strategic self-cleaning. The manipulator cleans their image faster than they clean their intent. Your job is not to expose, but to remain unprovoked by performance. Never confuse calmness with acceptance. You can reject manipulation without raising voice, through boundary precision. A simple no, delivered softly, shatters more control than long debates. Machiavelli once noted, "Firmness with grace disarms the proud." Pride expects collision, not quiet resistance. Your calm grace confuses the proud because it denies them stage drama. You will notice another layer then, the silent intimidation phase. When verbal tactics fail, silence turns into cold withdrawal. They try to make you chase their attention to reset the control balance. Do not chase. Absence is not punishment, it is purification. Your silence detoxifies the system until only genuine motives remain, and when genuine motives surface, dialogue becomes real again. CLM people rebuild boundaries not from revenge, but from awareness. They no longer need dominance, they need structure. Structure creates stability, and stability ends psychological games. Because games cannot survive in environments that reward clarity. Clarity exposes every shadow where influence once hid, but there is one last illusion you must break. The illusion that calmness will always protect you from attack. Calmness protects your power, not your comfort. The moment you stop reacting, the world tests your limits harder. Some will provoke you just to see if your calm is genuine. Some will admire it, but secretly hope to break it. Your task is not to please them, but to remain architect of your energy. You decide when, where, and how emotion serves logic. Emotion is a weapon. Calm decides when to draw it. Because calm is not the end of reaction, it is the command center of it. And soon you will face the highest form of manipulation, where calmness itself becomes the bait. Are you ready for that level? Asterisk, do you know what happens when calmness becomes the bait itself? They start copying your stillness to regain control of the frame. But imitation without inner discipline always reveals its cracks. Machiavelli once said, "Appearance of virtue can rule the crowd, but only real control rules the mind." The manipulator's calm is an act. Yours must be structure. False calm looks polished, but leaks irritation in micro-gestures. Watch the eyes, the shoulders, the breathing pace. True calm carries weight, while fake calm shakes under silence. You will see them mirror your tone, your pauses, even your words. They will study your peace to make it their new disguise. But imitation without conviction cannot survive long exposure. Your goal is not to expose, but to detect. Detection saves energy. Exposure wasted on proving truth. When you see imitation, remain still. Stillness burns pretense faster. Once their imitation collapses, confusion follows. Because they realize control cannot be borrowed. It must be built. They retreat, pretending indifference, while secretly studying your rhythm. Every calm person radiates two energies: silence and gravity. Silence absorbs noise, gravity bends behavior. Both arise only when ego and fear stop negotiating. Most people confuse gravity with dominance, but dominance depends on audience. Gravity exists even when no one watches because it is internal order. The one who holds order controls the unseen battlefield of attention. Manipulator's calm fails because it hides anxiety under forced patience. You can sense it in rushed agreement or calculated kindness. Both are methods to reestablish emotional access. They will try moral leverage again, asking, "Why are you so cold?" That question is bait disguised as concern. It demands that you prove empathy by lowering your boundary. Never prove empathy through performance. Empathy is not obedience. Calm empathy speaks through stability, not self-sacrifice. A calm presence heals by example, not by surrender. Remember, manipulation always wants energy without accountability. They seek your peace not to share it, but to feed from it. This is why emotional neutrality is sacred. Do not trade it cheaply. In this stage, manipulation evolves into subtle synchronization. They match your rhythm, your calm tone, your logic, but their intent remains to extract advantage, not to understand. This is the most dangerous layer because it feels harmonious. Harmony without integrity is camouflage, not connection. You must test harmony through contradiction gently, not aggressively. Introduce a disagreement and watch the reaction. True calm listens and adjusts. False calm fractures instantly. Fragile peace breaks because it was built to control. Not to relate. Machiavelli once warned, when peace is purchased by fear, it cannot last. False calm buys cooperation through tension, not through trust. Your real power is creating peace through indifference to approval. Indifference here does not mean apathy. It means freedom from outcome addiction. You no longer need validation to confirm your steadiness. You know what you stand for, and that certainty replaces applause. Psychological predators sense this certainty and retreat. They realize no trick can trade what you no longer chase. Control evaporates when the target becomes self-contained. This is when calm becomes a silent weapon. Not against others, but against all manipulative frequencies. You start noticing patterns in tone, posture, and social timing instantly. You answer less, but perceive more. You speak slowly, but hit precisely. You carry presence like quiet gravity in a loud world. And that presence becomes unsettling to those built on illusion. They might call it pride or detachment, but it is pure alignment. Alignment between thought, tone, and truth. Still, there remains one final trick the manipulative mind can use. It will stop attacking and start agreeing with you completely. Agreement is now the new weapon, silent and seductive. Can you recognize when validation itself becomes control? Can you stay calm even when the praise feels perfect? Because the final test of power is not against pressure, but against flattery. Do you know why flattery feels safer than conflict? Because praise whispers what your ego wants to hear. And when your ego listens too long, your awareness starts to sleep. Machiavelli once said, "Every man is tested not by his enemies, but by those who pretend to adore him." Flattery is not kindness. It is camouflage for control. After calmness defeats pressure, manipulation changes form. It becomes soft, supportive, understanding, and endlessly agreeable. The danger hides in comfort, not in chaos. You are told you are right, wise, and peaceful. You hear the same compliments repeated until they sound like truth. Then one day, a favor is asked, small, harmless, but timed perfectly. This is the final extraction. When resistance drops, consent follows quietly. Control no longer demands, it requests sweetly, and you obey gently. You never noticed how emotional safety became a leash. It rewards your calmness only when it serves their design. That is not peace, that is selective permission. To stay free, you must learn to separate validation from truth. Truth stands even when no one praises it. Praise fades when it loses benefit. Your calm must serve principle, not approval. Principle keeps you aligned when the world shifts tone. Approval bends you toward the loudest comfort. Remember, genuine respect survives your disagreement. False respect disappears the moment you stop serving emotion. Observe who stays steady when you stop providing peace. Manipulators vanish when calm stops feeding them. They thrive on your reaction, your guilt, and your compliance. But calmness that owes nothing becomes a closed circuit. You no longer react for balance. You create balance from within. You no longer wait for silence. You become it. That silence is not emptiness, it is your highest form of clarity. In this stage, you stop managing people and start managing energy. You know when to listen, when to disengage, and when to redirect. Your emotional intelligence turns into quiet precision. Machiavelli once wrote, "Power without control is chaos disguised as freedom." Control here means self-command, not dominance over others. Self-command is the rarest skill in psychological warfare, because it means you cannot be seduced by chaos or comfort. Both become background noise to your internal compass. You decide based on principle, not pressure, not praise. Your awareness now works like a silent radar. You sense manipulation before words form. You sense truth before logic arrives. And that sensitivity is not emotion, it is evolution. You have learned to see patterns behind tone, motive behind calm. You can sit through storms and smiles with the same still heart. This is where calmness transcends defense, it becomes influence. People start adjusting their tone around your stillness. The room slows down when you enter, because rhythm follows authority. But true authority is invisible. It never announces itself. It moves through clarity, presence, and deliberate timing. It teaches without teaching and corrects without confrontation. When manipulators meet this level, they retreat silently. Not out of defeat, but out of discomfort they cannot operate in clarity. And clarity is your greatest weapon because it removes the fog they need. So stay calm, not to look strong, but to stay awake. Calmness is awareness disguised as stillness, power disguised as peace. You are not escaping conflict. You are mastering the rhythm beneath it. And when the world tests you again with chaos, guilt, or charm, remember one quiet truth that ends every manipulation. The one who owns his reactions owns the game. And now you know why they expect you to break, because when you don't, their control breaks first.